So here is a guide on how to make a proper launch vehicle in RP-1. If you've done light sets or heavy sets, you might have had a launcher already, but it's going to be a launcher that is specific to those programs, and it's not going to be capable probably of putting a generic payload into orbit. And if it is, then you probably could have gone with a slightly smaller, more efficient design in those programs. But anyway, what you need is avionics. You can split the avionics, right? You can have different avionics for the first and the second stage, or third stage, or whatever. But using just one avionics is going to make it a lot cheaper. Also, we're going to use the best engine in the game, the RD-0105, and it is on 1958 rocketry. And what that means is that anything past basic rocketry is that you're going to have isogrid tanks. Isogrid tanks are very good. They're not as good as balloon tanks, but they are a lot cheaper than balloon tanks. And there is a specific contractor you can hire that's going to make these things like a lot faster to integrate, which is going to make just a vehicle using only isogrid tanks very good, right? So that's what we're going to go with. Also, this is going to be a proper launch vehicle, so we're going to put a payload fairing on this thing, and then it can launch, well, anything really. The thing with payload fairings though is that they are very heavy, so we're gonna want to make the fairing as small as possible. What we're gonna go with is we're just gonna make this a 2 meter diameter fairing, but we're gonna make a 3 meter diameter vehicle. This is slightly bigger than what you need to make optimally, but this is all fine. This is still a very good pound for pound vehicle. We're gonna disable the decoupler on this because the decoupler on here is actually heavier than just putting a regular hollow stage decoupler on here and using that instead. That's gonna be, although you know, if you like the aesthetics, then you can just use the decoupler here, but it's gonna, as you can see, it's gonna add 120 kilograms, which is coming straight out of your payload budget. For now, let's put an isogrid tank on here, and we're gonna put water in it. This is gonna be our payload. For now, let's make it, this is 1.4 tons, that's going to be fine for now. And we're going to see if we can get this to orbit. Let's put payload fairing on there, and this is our avionics. Our avionics is going to be 2 meters. By this point in time, you're going to have at least early avionics. You're probably also going to have basic avionics. It is going to be slightly lighter, but doesn't really matter too much. This is going to be around a 100-ton rocket. You can make a smaller one at around 60 tons that uses only one engine. We're going to use 2, but this one is going to give you a little more liberty with your design choices essentially. So for now, our modular tank here, this is going to be our second stage, and our second stage is going to use the RD-0105, and the RD-0105 is a very high ISP engine for when you get it, right? There is nothing that comes close to it. It has a specific impulse in the vacuum of 316 seconds, which is so much higher than any option that the Americans get, or even any other nation gets, or even the Russians get until quite later. Next time, the next engine that you get that is better than this is the upgrade to it, the RD-0109, right, at 1960. So yeah, it's just a very good engine. So we're going to use this, and then we're going to have another tank, and then underneath that there is a couple options. What you can do is you can put the Russian R7 engine, the RD-0108, and then what you can do is you can put booster tanks on there, the modular booster tank, this one, and then you can put the RD-0107 on there. Ignore the diameters for now, this is about the concept, right? So imagine this one, it's a lot bigger, right? So this, and then this one's on the side, right? It's gonna end up looking like a sort of a halved R7, right? A Soyuz with 2 boosters instead of 4, and that is quite an efficient design. But what we're gonna do is instead we're gonna use the American engines. We're gonna use the LR-79, which is the Thor engine, and it is a very good engine because it is a lot cheaper than the Russian ones, right? So this is our basic design. For the diameter, we can go with 3, we can go with 2, we can go with anything in between really. It's all gonna be fine. For now, let's go with 3, And what we're gonna do is this one also needs to go to 3 meters, and we're gonna put a skirt on here so that it fits smoothly. And the color changed again. I don't know what causes the color to change for this, but so it be. So, and this one is a snug aerodynamic covering of it. We also want to put a nose on there. We're gonna go with the 3-to-2 modular nose, so that it's nice and aerodynamic. Let's check the burn time on our engine. For now we have 16 minutes. That's a little bit long. We might need to go with the short nose. Let's see what the burn time can be on this thing. It can be 7 minutes 20 seconds. Okay, so we're right there. Yeah, you could go with the 2 meter diameter and then you have it a little bit longer, but this one, it's right on the edge. The key here is that your vacuum delta V, 4,000 meters per second. You don't want to go much higher than this, because then the RD-0105 will be too low in the atmosphere and it'll really struggle. So what we need is we need a launch platform. It uses a modular launch clamp. Let's pick something else this time. Where are the launch platforms? They're right here. So let's pick something nice that'll fit underneath. The medium launch base. There we go. I want it to fit underneath here. There we go. And what you want to do is you want to ignite your engines. Then you want to loose the clamps. Then you want to ignite the engine. We can also use the fairings there. And then you want to decouple. Okay. For the LR79 you have the second config, the S3D, which is better than the S3, and this is a very good engine that you can just use for quite a while, right? This launcher you can use for a really long time for multiple programs. The burn time on this thing is max of 3 minutes, or a min of 3 minutes rather. You can burn it for quite a long time, but for now we're just gonna make this a 100-ton vehicle because it's gonna be good enough. So 100 tons. This one, oh, we had it at 60. Let's go with 100. Right? And this will do fine. This is 9,146 meters per second of delta V. This is probably gonna get to orbit. This is a very short, stubby rocket, but yeah, you can change the diameters. You could go with like slightly less, with 2.4 or something, or even 2. If you go with 2, it's going to be almost twice as tall, but that's going to be fine still. We're launching 1.4 tons to orbit, so that's probably enough to do all the first programs. What you can also do is you can change the mount. There's a couple mounts that look nice. When you have 2 engines, one of the more interesting mounts to go with is the Pirios, because it lets you put the engines. Let's see if we can change this a little better. Let's move the engine up a little bit so we can see. We can move the engines a little bit so that they look something like this. It's great when you have 2 engines. This mount looks nice. Yeah, let's see how well this launches. You gotta put failures off because it's not that interesting to see things fail in a simulation when you're showing a proof of concept. These engines, they can fail. The RD-0105 isn't too reliable at the start, but it is, no engine is reliable at the start of the game, especially for upper stages. So if it fails, it fails. You can launch another one. The key here is that we have 2 stages. They're both guided, so this can go to any orbit really. Let's go to the 150 by 150, right? Space is 140, so anything above that is space, and it is usually best to go to just a very low orbit, because then you can use the overth effect more. Boost the pitch rate, boost the start rate. We have 1.37 SLT, so these are probably going to be fine. We'll see how this goes. If it is thrust on liftoff is too high, you might need to raise this. If it's too low, you need to lower it. But we'll see how well this goes. On paper, we have a kilometer per second of delta V left. Our hot staging, 1 second. It's probably going to be fine. The spool up time of the RD-0105 is 1.2 seconds. So we could make this a little bigger. It doesn't matter too much, right? So yeah, this is going to be our design. We can go to 160 by 160. Let's give us a little bit more safety with the engine. The RD-0105 really doesn't want to burn in the atmosphere. It is. That was unexpected. Why did that happen? The fairings aren't supposed to come loose like that. Let's put the fairings on the final stage. They should decouple automatically anyway. The important thing with the fairings are heavy, so you don't want to be burning the second stage with the fairings. But if they're with the first stage, that's going to be fine. So let's launch this instead. Same PVG settings. PVG is struggling a little bit with the Delta V overview, but that is whatever. It's going to fix itself anyway. We can time warp a little bit, because this is, despite being quite short, it is a fairly stable rocket probably. I would recommend, if you do make this design, then go with a little bit less than 3 meters, because it is more short than it needs to be, right? There's no. The benefits of having a shorter rocket is that the launch complex is going to be cheaper, and the downside is that it's going to be less stable. It's not going to look as nice. Going to get a little bit more drag, relatively speaking. And we can time warp a little bit faster, because this rocket is stable enough. Oh, and we tilted over a little bit fast there, because we hit the PVG guidance. That's going to be fine. We should be going high enough. Our atmosphere info. So dynamic pressure is 1 kilopascals, and it's going to just be around 800 pascals when the RD-0105 ignites. So this one, it's you might want to lower this to 0.4 degrees per second, right? Or raise this one from 50 to maybe 60 or 65-ish, so that this one goes a little bit higher, right? Because this engine doesn't want to ignite when it's above 5 kilopascals, and it's gonna get a little bit of penalties when it's at above 500 pascals, which we were, but only slightly. So this is probably gonna be fine. Also, if you have less payload than this 1.4 tons, then of course it's gonna have fewer issues also. The RD-0105, incredible engine. It's gonna burn for quite a while here. We can't time warp faster than this, but yeah, this is a long burning engine. You'll find that for the payloads you're launching to orbit, right? They're not gonna be 1400 kilograms. They're gonna be smaller. You're gonna launch payloads of around like a couple hundred kilograms most of the time. It's only the lunar orbiters really that are that heavy. What you want to do is, for payloads that require you to go significantly beyond low Earth orbit, right, like a high Earth orbit or the moon, is you're going to want to put a in-space stage on there, right? So what you do is, instead of just a tank of water, you have just a rocket stage with its own avionics on top, and then what you are best using is just use another RD-0105, right? So you have the fuel tank, avionics on top, and then the RD-0105 on the bottom. And on top of that, the actual payload, like the science core or the ComSat or whatever. And that way you don't have to do a two-stage to high Earth orbit, which is almost impossible. So instead, just have a three-stage or a two-stage to orbit vehicle, and then in space you have another RD-0105, and that will ignite and do the orbit raising, or the lunar orbit insertion, or the translunar injection, I mean. But yeah, this one, it's quite a capable vehicle. Doubling up the LR79s makes it work very nicely. You can do this all with one RD or one LR79. The payload will go down, and it'll struggle a bit with RD-0105, especially low in the atmosphere. But yeah, this one with just 2 engines, it flies perfectly fine. It went into a 160 by 160 kilometer orbit. We still had some. Well, we didn't have much fuel left over. No, we're almost out of fuel, but yeah, this is also sort of the max payload that this sort of design will do. But 1400 kilograms, more than enough. This will do the lunar orbiters and impactors easily, or the impactors will do easily. Lunar orbiters it will also do. This will do the Earth observation satellites, ComSats. This will do early crew. It will do multiple programs, and you'll find that it'll be quite a while before you actually need to upgrade this design, and it doesn't really go obsolete. It is such a usable vehicle, right? And well, you can't decouple anything here, but it's all good, right? This is a design. It's very reliable, very good, and very easy to fly and make. All right.